Hey, everybody. I'm just going to sit here and get everything ready to go while people hop on since we still have 15 minutes, a little less. Oh, hey, somebody's on. Hopefully it's working. You can try chatting and see if it comes up. Oh, well, it looks like for some reason the chat is disabled, which that's not fun. That makes no sense. Oh. All right, y'all. This is a problem. My stream is set up as having it set where kids can access it, because it's, oh, here we go. Maybe now. Maybe now we can have chat. Oh, perfect. Okay, so there should be chat now. So feel free to let me know if you can hear me, and feel free to chat. And we'll see if I can see them. Worked last time, I could see them, so hoping this time will be the same. Well, okay. Still have plenty of time for everybody to hop on. I'm going to check my mic if I can see it. Whew, it's tucked around on the back side there. Not that flexible. All right. I'm going to go ahead and start washing my mushrooms while we're just kind of here getting everything ready to go. Just because it'll take me a little bit. Unless there's anybody else that needs to wash their mushrooms. See, we have another person. I'm going to go ahead and wash my mushrooms so that I don't have my back turned as we're doing the demo. Feel free to do the same if you'd like to. All right, we have somebody else on too. As y'all can see, I'm just washing my vegetables, my mushrooms particularly. If y'all want, you can do that as well right now, or you can wait and do it later. I just didn't want to be turned away from the camera any more than I have to be. If one of you will let me know if you can hear me, I would appreciate it. Also, so I can see if the chat function is working. I'm not seeing anything coming up. But maybe. No. Oh, okay. I'm not seeing if y'all are chatting. Last time they just kind of popped up. It's 5 o'clock here, Central Time. Oh, there we go. Sorry, y'all. At the very bottom, there was an option hidden. Maybe the comments will pop up. Oh. Thanks, Karen. Okay. Sorry, y'all. I think I have all the settings done, and then there's something that seems to be missing every time. Okay. So Now all the comments should start showing up, I believe. Maybe. It's got a message on my end that's saying my connection is unstable, so they're trying to reconnect. Not sure what that means. It's a little concerning. It's a few minutes after 5, but we might give everybody a couple more minutes unless y'all are in a hurry. Just since it can be kind of hard to get home and get settled and get everything out. And I know there's a bunch of ingredients in this recipe, so that does make it more challenging, but so many veggies. I'm going to do something real quick. I'm going to step over to the other side here. Oh well. No, I'm not going to do that. Change of plan, sorry. I keep looking at my monitor, which is right over here, but if I move it so that I'm not looking kind of funny, then you can't see, obviously, the blocks camera view. Well, I have 5:05, so we'll just go ahead and get started if you'll want to. And then as people hop on, we'll just keep on going. And I don't know if the chat's going to work. I don't know, so I'll try to go slow to give everybody plenty of time to do what you need to, and then hopefully we're on the same pace. I'm pretty slow in the kitchen, so we should be good. And I'll move my phone. Okay, let me also remove my mushroom carton there. So, man, I'm making a mess. All right, so just a couple of things that one thing that I forgot to mention in the ingredients, or excuse me, the list was actually a can opener. So many cans have the pop tops, but excuse me, at least mine that I got for sliced water chestnuts, because I couldn't find any pre-diced ones. I don't know if they even exist. Sliced ones you can find. And then baby corn, neither one of them have the pop top, so you will need a can opener. My apologies on leaving that out. But there's that. There's a couple other items that I have that I use in my kitchen, but I didn't want to put them on the list of things to grab or to procure before cooking this recipe, and those would just be a chopster. If you do any ground meat cooking often, this is a really cool tool. Um, it it really does a good job just of breaking up the crumbles into nice tiny little pieces so that you don't get gigantic chunks in your recipe. I like just fine little pieces. It incorporates better. This is excellent for any kind of ground meat. So be it ground beef, Italian sausage, ground turkey, it doesn't matter. This thing is a great tool. So if you cook with ground meats, I suggest the chopster. Another thing that I have that in my field, they have a lot of freebies and such at conferences that are food related, obviously. And this is just a little can strainer. It is super handy because you can just open your can, dump it over. You can also do the same thing just by leaving the lid. Either this one cuts around the rim, so it's nice and safe. It's not going to cut you, but obviously you'll probably know that. It can also do something that's a little wider that it won't necessarily fit over, but you can flip it around like that and use it that way. So that's a couple tools that I have that I'm going to use, but again, it's not like it's going to matter if you don't have these items. The can opener, it probably will. I hope you have a can opener. And then the half tablespoon, I put this on there as kind of an optional thing. The half tablespoon, it's not something that's in a standard set. I'm fine with eyeballing about what half a tablespoon is. If it bothers you, then you can get one of these or look for one of these somewhere or a set that contains them. So just something for you to be aware of with the half tablespoon. I usually just wing things. That's just kind of how I am. Recipes are just kind of for guidance, unless they're like baking, which is chemical reactions. So just keep that in mind for preference. Let's see. One other note that I'll go ahead and tell you all before we start doing all the prep. Mushroom cartons are 8 ounces in the carton versus the recipe calling for 5 ounces of white mushrooms diced. I'm just going to go ahead and use the whole carton. It's just going to add add more veggies, which is a pretty good thing, and mushroom complements beef very well. So I feel like it's a win-win. If you don't like mushrooms that much, you don't have to do that. You can just use, a half of the carton or a little, plus maybe 1 or 2 extra, and call that good for getting to approximately 5 ounces of mushrooms. I think those are all of the notes. One more. I'm going to use my little chopper. I don't know who all has these. They're fairly popular. I like using this, especially when I have to deal with carrots. I'd rather just go ahead and get them smaller and not have to worry about cutting my fingers off, to be frank. I don't really like cutting, dicing carrots and stuff. I like a chopper. It may not get them uniform necessarily, so we'll have to kind of watch that. And you can't put too many of whatever you're chopping in here or else it won't work very well. I do that and I try to strong arm it, and it never works for me. So just warning, don't overfill it. But I am going to do this, but I will take plenty of time I'll give you all plenty of time to hand prepare if you just want to use your good old-fashioned chef's knife. And I'll still have to cut things up with that too, so it should be just fine. But anyway, we'll go ahead and get started. The recipe doesn't call for any oil in the pan. If you're using a nonstick, that's what they're recommending. If you don't have a nonstick, then you'll probably want to put a little bit of oil in the pan just so it doesn't stick. My meat, I went ahead, the nutrition facts and the recipe calls for 90-10. My grocery store carries a 93-7 option. So that means that it's 93% lean, 7% fat. I'm not going to get as much shrinkage, and I also will not have as much of the drippings left in the pan, which is a win-win for me because I don't ever like draining fat off of meat, and I don't like really leaving it in there either. I know some of you will probably fight me and say that that's where all the flavor is, and I agree. But I especially like a 85-15 for like on the grill. That's a really good. But 93-7 is excellent for cooking in recipes like this where we're not going to be draining the fat off. So 90-10, another great option there. Not too much of a difference, obviously. So I'm going to turn this on. It is going to get loud or louder, so my apologies there. But just FYI. Not too loud, but it does make some noise. And this is just my induction cooktop just because it's more convenient than my actual cooktop over there that you can see because my back will be towards the camera. Okay, I'm still not seeing any comments come through, so I may not have that capability today. I am so sorry. Technology has not been my friend this week. Not at all. My email was crashing. I had a program crash earlier today. It is what it is. So my apologies. Again, my monitor is over here to me, so that's why if you see me pointing at that, that's what I'm pointing at, or at what I'm pointing. And I'm just letting this heat up. It gets hot. This induction cooktop gets hot really quickly. So this is a little over 2 pounds of hamburger meat. So I'm just going to open it up and put it in. And we'll get that started cooking, and then we'll move on to doing our veggie prep. Using a knife is much easier than this. I should have used a knife, but I didn't. Okay. So you can hear it. It's already cooking along. Gonna use my chopster. Really, this thing is so handy. I don't know how well. Yeah, you can kind of see. It just really breaks things up very well. Improves the surface area for cooking. And one thing about this pan, we'll see how it goes. Sometimes I tend to overfill it. So I'm hoping that my meat will shrink enough that when I add all the veggies in, I don't have to like do like batch cooking because I've been there and done that. Remember, y'all, I'm a real person. I have my own kitchen struggles. You make things work. Okay. We'll let that cook down a little bit. And excuse me, I forgot to get my little spoon rest. Okay, so I'm gonna quickly wash my hands just for cross-contamination concerns. Sorry, y'all. Although really, I don't think you should have to, or you should apologize for cross-contamination safety. Even though we're gonna cook all these vegetables. All right, so our first thing we're going to work on is our onion. I've already peeled and rinsed off the outside of my onion. Sorry, rearrange here. So, I'm going to cut the ends off and then cut it in half and put it in my chopper actually. Again, you can totally do this by hand. It's just I'm lazy. The chopper is, not gonna lie, I didn't use it a whole lot, and then I remembered I had it. I know, sad, I forgot that I had it. And I used it the other day when I was making a soup that had a whole lot of vegetables in it. And it was amazing. So if you don't have a chopper, I suggest it. And I really like this one. Not, not marketing anything here, but the OXO one works very well. Because some of the ones that I had, my mom had in the past, didn't, they were kind of a pain to clean. They were just kind of a pain in general. But the OXO one is really convenient. So I'm just going to cut this into smaller sections and hope that I can get more uniform cuts in the chopper. Again, feel free to cut by hand. I'm just being lazy. It's the weekend, right? It's the weekend, we can be lazy. Okay. So another cool thing. Again, not trying to sell you one of these, but it does have a little lid. So if you do have extra and you just want to store it in there, you can just put this on there. And it also has a little tool to help you scrape the little bowl out. So it's just handy. You can also just use it on the board directly. See? Gotta fiddle with it a little bit though. And tell you what, I say that. I told you I was going to use it, and then here it is. It's not one to cooperate. Sometimes you have to manhandle a little bit. But once it gets going, I find it to be pretty convenient. Again, they're not going to be uniform cuts, but especially in a recipe like this, I don't think it really is going to matter too much. I like it too because my husband isn't a huge fan of onions, so I can get it a little more finely chopped this way. Alright, so you can kind of maybe see it. There's some big chunks. When I move on to the next section, I usually kind of will pull bigger chunks over. So again, it may not be that much more convenient, but in a lot of ways, I don't cry as much from the onion. I hope that's not too loud. Again, I apologize since the comments don't seem to want to work. Alright, we're going to call that good. There. Use my little scraping tool. Let's see. Uh-oh. Alright, we also have to do a couple cloves of garlic. I'm going to stir our hamburger over here. And again, in case you came out a little bit later, I'm just using, this tool is called a chop stir, and it works really well for ground meats. So that's what I'm using. Feel free to use whatever you normally would to break up your ground meats in a skillet. that the comments aren't working. I like it when I can interact with y'all. It's way more fun. It's not just me talking in my kitchen. Although I do talk in my kitchen to my pets. My husband's not home, so, you know, talk to who you got to. Speaking of which, I'm going to apologize. My dogs have been terrible today at barking. So if they start going nuts, I will try to wrangle them as quickly and quietly as possible. This is cooking pretty well. Ideally, you would cook it and get your meat thermometer out. I did not. That's another thing I left off of the equipment list. But the meat thermometer is also another thing that you would really want to do rather than just to check for doneness by looking at color. We're going to let this cook for a little bit longer while we go ahead and move on to our veggie prep anyway. Just kind of getting that broken up a bit more. Okay. I'm starting to see some liquid, so it's cooking right along. So now if you're hand chopping, you may be done with your onion. I'm going to call this all done. It's fairly uniform enough for what we're doing here. So now we'll move on to garlic, which I think I picked up an old head of garlic. So mine is kind of funky. I hope you had better luck selecting than I did. So I was trying to find some good ones before we got started, and maybe there'll be some over here. Mine just looks old. I may have to do a few more than just a couple to get the amount that I feel like. I like garlic. I don't know about y'all, but I like garlic. So to get plenty of flavor. Because these are tiny and pathetic. Not to hate on this garlic, but truth hurts. Yeah. Like that one I think is bad. I have a little compost thing that goes in the drawer right here, just in case y'all are wondering what I'm dumping into. There's my tiny compost bin. Okay, so I'm going to move on to garlic. If you have a press, you can use that. I'm just going to give it a good old-fashioned smash. And then I'm going to, I might do this one by hand. I don't know that the chopper will do so well with this. I could try it, but I don't want to waste your time by me playing in the kitchen. This garlic. I'm very disappointed in this. Okay. Kind of weird. I'm just cutting off the ends, little dry ends. I don't know if that's normal behavior or not, but try not to get your fingers. This might be a good one to put in the chopper, but it's just such a small quantity. Yeah, watch your fingers. Be careful, please. Okay, I'm gonna call that done, just because mostly I just get tired of it. It sticks to everything, it's just a mess. I'm usually really lazy and do powdered garlic. It's just so convenient, and it doesn't get stuck everywhere. Okay, let's stir this again. Oops. Sorry, y'all. This pan may not be able to handle all of the ingredients. I was afraid of it, but I know this one works well on my induction top, so again, y'all may get to see me do a batch cooking Band-Aid method. One thing about it, this recipe really makes a good quantity. Being that it says it makes 8 servings, it really is something you could eat on for a while. And, you know, then if you have it, say, for lunch, then you would just be able to put this in a little container, heat it up, and then take your lettuce separate and build your lunch. Okay. I'm gonna let this cook for a little bit more. That is one thing that I will say. If you're not going to actually check the temp of it, let it cook plenty. I usually like for it to cook to where the meat actually starts to kind of fry in its own fat. So I take a long time to cook my hamburger meat, which we're kind of halfway through our time that I told you. So we'll just keep on letting that cook. I did tell you to set out bowls, extra bowls. So we do have a small bowl to put these ingredients in because they're going to cook separate from, they go in next, and then they're going to cook separate from our carrots and mushrooms, which are going to take a little while to work on. So again, I'm just going to clear out some of these pieces there. I'm going to put these in the small bowl here. Hope that I don't make a mess. These bendy cutting boards are super convenient. That's for sure. Sometimes they're a little unruly though. Okay. So now we're on to our carrot. I need to wash mine and then peel it. So I'm assuming you need to do the same. I'm going to dry my hands off. Fortunately, if you have a good peeler, this is a very fast step. My mom is like a pro peeler. That woman can peel things so fast. I just hope that someday maybe I'll be as fast as her. But I think I'm going to give up on that hope because she's really fast. I think it's all the French fries that she would make for my dad growing up. Okay. Actually, I would usually rinse this after I've peeled it off, but we already did the rinsing. So again, I'm just going to kind of get this set up for my chopper. And these big ones, I usually try to cut them down even more. Yes, there's onion residue in there. But it'll be fine. Okay. Some of those bigger pieces, otherwise totally fine. Move on to the next one here. See, this thing is made for carrots. It's great. All right, those are about the same. That's all good there. So I'm just gonna scoot those over to the side. And double check my recipe here. Oh, I almost forgot the ginger. Woo. All right, so the meat's definitely getting browned. I think it's safe to say that we can set it aside and work on our ginger. I'm sorry, y'all. I almost left out one of our most flavorful ingredients. Oh my goodness. And I've only looked at this recipe like a million times. Yeah, I'll let this sit in here and brown a little bit more. You can take yours out if you want. If yours is done, go ahead, take it out and put it in a medium-sized bowl. And be very careful because obviously it is hot and the pan is hot. You can use your slotted spoon. If you have any drippings, again, the 93.7 doesn't have much of anything. Okay, so while you're doing that, I'll go ahead and kind of explain. The spoon is just to scrape off the outside of the garlic. It's easier than using a peeler because it's all bumpy and weird. Probably, I think a tablespoon is probably about like, I have tiny thumbs, about a thumb's worth. You can check and kind of eyeball it with what your tablespoon actually looks like. But I'm going to go ahead and peel this over here, because this is the fastest method, as bizarre as it sounds. And then when you get your hamburger dealt with, if you're transferring it, then you can do the same thing that I'm doing. My hamburger meat's starting to pop. I'd say it's done. Ginger is so smelly. I like it. Some people don't really. If you don't like it, you can leave out anything that you don't like. I think that's perfectly acceptable. And I kind of weirdly, but just to be on the safe side, I rinsed my ginger before this point. before everybody got here to see me being weird. Okay, kind of a mess. I'm just going to use my hand to kind of get this over here into my little bucket. I'm going to give my meat another stir because it's really making noise now. I don't want to burn it. Yeah, my meat is sufficiently browned. So, since chopping the ginger won't take long anyway, I'm going to go ahead and transfer this over to the bowl. Kind of running out of room. My induction cooktop gets very cranky when I remove the pan because it turns off. So much quieter though. Okay, that goes back on there. Okay. Now the pan is still hot. I'm going to set that kind of to the side over here and with that. It's always good to try and keep the handle away from traffic areas. Okay, now back to our ginger really quick and then we'll put everything in the pan. Make sure if your pan is empty that you maybe set it off the heat. Right now the thing is off, so it's not too bad. Just gonna cut away or scrape away some more of the ginger. Again, I'm sorry I missed that earlier. I don't know how I did that. I'm sure if I had comments, I would have told me. You're probably all at home going, no, don't forget the ginger. Or if you don't like ginger, you were like, yes. Okay, I'm going to rinse it because it's got weird little skin things on it. Okay, so that's my cutting board. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to scrape the carrot residue off there before I trim my ginger up because mine still has little spots on it. Ginger is probably going to be one that because it is fibrous, probably going to be better to just do this one by hand rather than a chopper. And again, hopefully we get pretty close to having a tablespoon here. I may have to do a little bit more scraping on mine because that's probably not quite a tablespoon. All right. Whoa. You gotta watch these things. I tell you what, half the time I end up having to clip my nails because vegetables try to do, or spices or something tries to do me wrong, and clipping a little bit of my nail. I don't think a piece of ginger is very good either. It's like super fibrous. Again, I hope y'all did better buying your produce than I did this time. Try to get this, about like the garlic, and don't get your fingers. Because the last thing you need is having to go get your first aid kit. Okay. Seriously, this is so fibrous. Ugh. I'm going to chop this sucker up really fine so that you're not like gnawing on the fibers. I apologize, y'all. We're probably going to go over an hour. Hopefully not. I'm going to pick up the pace. Because my mushrooms are washed. If you're going faster than me and you still need to wash your mushrooms, go ahead, start that part. Because that's what we're coming to next. Oh my goodness. Why do my ingredients hate me today? Did y'all see that? The knife tried to do me wrong. Well, I guess technically, oh my goodness, it really is that ginger. This is the worst ginger ever. Beware, beware. Ginger's got attitude. I'm going to give this just a little more going over because mine is so bad. Hopefully it tastes good, but you always hope that your ingredients will be like work with you when you're doing a demo. This ginger, it is not playing fair. Okay, I'm going to add this into our other stuff here, which I'm going to scrape into our pan and turn my cooktop back on. You can use a rubber scraper if you want. I'm just going to use my hand because it's already dirty with this stuff. Okay, back to our recipe. Pretty sure we got to work on our mushrooms since our carrot's already done. So again, I'm doing the whole package of mushrooms. You can do just a little over half if you actually want to be closer to the ratio that the recipe calls for. All right, so I'm gonna just trim the bottoms because they weird me out. Probably also, if they're really woody and gross, they're not gonna do as well. Okay, so. Might have done those a bit too much. Too fine. I'm going to stir my stuff in the pan really quickly. Okay. Back to the mushrooms. Okay. And scoot those over. And do my last bit of mushrooms here. Okay, so that's done there. These are softened. Some of mine got a little browned. This cooktop, this medium high is pretty hot. Okay, so now mine are just about right. So I'm going to add in our carrots and our mushroom and cook for a couple minutes. Get that kind of cleaned out because some goodness in there. Okay. All right. So now that those are in there, I'm going to give those just a quick stir to kind of get them incorporated. And we're going to move on to our water chestnuts, baby corn. So now you want to get your can opener. Again, hoping you have one because I forgot to put it on the list. And go ahead and give that. And like I said, you can take this or you can use the can strainer if you have one. Doesn't matter. As long as you get all the liquid off. Okie dokie. So I'm going to put these through the chopper as well because, again, it's just so easy. Probably do about half and half. Not going to lie, if there was anything I was going to leave out of this recipe, it would have been the water chestnuts. To me, they're just kind of funky. They don't really have flavor. They just add crunch, but it's not like a pleasant crunch to me. It's like an uncooked potato kind of crunch. You may disagree. Well, here's a good sized chunk. Okay, so water chestnuts are done. Let's do the baby corn now. I'm going to give this a stir. And then, there we go. This time I'll use the can strainer since it's so quick and easy. And baby corn are pretty big. All right, give these another quick stir. Maybe more than a couple minutes, my apologies. Should have started on this before I started on all of that. I'm gonna give these baby corn, because they're so big, mine are really big. I don't know what yours look like, obviously, but I'm gonna cut them in half before I start chopping them up. Just gonna give them kind of a little rough chop. Yeah, that might have been a bit too rough. Alright, so now that these are all done, let's check our recipe and see, because I believe these go in, and then we start on our sauces as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and add these for our mushrooms to dry up and disappear completely. And start on our sauces. So I hope that you all had luck finding the Chinese black vinegar. There's also Taiwanese black vinegar. This recipe, we are using the Chinese version. If you got Taiwanese, that's fine. Really, the only way to distinguish is where it says that it's made. But the flavor profile on them is a bit different from what I've read. to be totally frank, I don't remember what the difference is. Besides, the Chinese one is essentially more of a spiced vinegar, so it is going to add just a different flavor. They're just a little bit different flavor profiles. So it's okay, whatever you got. I hope that you enjoy it. I hope it's not an ingredient that you're like, oh my gosh, I had to buy this gigantic bottle and I'm never going to use this. And I do apologize if you hear my dog barking in the background because, like I said, they've been terrible today. Okay. So we are going to do, I already took all my safety caps, covers, whatever for all of these. So if you need to do that, go right ahead. We have 1.5 tablespoons of the dark soy sauce. Again, as I said in the beginning, I'm not really a stickler, so I'm just going to eyeball it, but there are half tablespoons that are out there. I have one, but I just kind of find it annoying to have to do that. If you like to be precise, though, feel free to grab your half tablespoon. They come in random sets. This one was a give me that I got at a conference. Okay, so we have the soy sauce that just, the vinegar. The vinegar that just went in, I skipped over the soy sauce. I added extra of the vinegar. I'll tell you, this is just how it goes sometimes. So I did 1.5 tablespoons of the vinegar. I apologize, that should have been the soy sauce, which is 1.5 tablespoons. So we're going to do that now. I'm going to give this a stir just so nothing's starting to stick on the bottom. Cool. Man, y'all, I'm sorry. I should have put this recipe would take longer. It's hard to judge how long a recipe is going to take. For me, it is at least. All right, and we need to do our hoisin sauce. So that's going to be 2 tablespoons. Let me double check though, since I already messed up. 2 tablespoons of the hoisin. This stuff, so good. If you like pho, you're probably familiar with hoisin sauce. Even if you don't, you may have seen it around, but it's really good in pho. And since it likes to stick, I have it sitting over there. I have a little rubber scraper that I'm going to use to get all of it out because it's good. Good flavor. Good flavor, and that's what we're all about since this is celebrating flavors. A world of flavors, technically. Okay, so now that we have used that, I'm going to wash my tablespoon really quickly after I give that a scrape because I need to mix my cornstarch and my water. So if you need to do the same, go ahead. Oh yeah, gonna give that a stir, I told you. And my pan is definitely not going to be big enough for everything. This would be when having a wok would be really ideal. Okay. So, like I said, quick wash here. Hope that that's dry enough that it doesn't just, all of the cornstarch doesn't just stick. And so at this point you can either reuse your small bowl that you used earlier for the onions and etc., or you can get another little bowl. I'm already going to be doing dishes, so what's one more bowl? All right, and again, just to verify, it's going to be 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. And then I believe it says approximately a teaspoon. Sorry, I'm having to read through here to see. Oh, nope, about a tablespoon of cold water as well. So here we have our tablespoon of cornstarch. And then we'll get our tablespoon of water. All right, there we go. Didn't spill. Sometimes I'm not so lucky. And they just want us to make a slurry here. I'm gonna also take a minute for my slurry to stir our mixture, because mine is sticking. I think I should turn this down a little bit to medium, just because I think this gets a little hotter than average. And I definitely don't want to burn all of these wonderful flavors. Okay. So, let's verify. Tablespoon of water might have been a bit much. I apologize if I misled y'all. It is going to thicken up just fine when it gets heated. So, oh, I forgot to add the ground beef back to the pan. Oh my goodness, y'all. As many times as I have read this recipe, I tell you what, you'd think that I'd have it like fully memorized, and I'm missing things left and right. But again, we get to see if I'm talented enough to make this all fit in the pan. Y'all are probably really wondering, what in the world, when are you going to add that meat back in? I was starting to wonder when they added it back in. All right. Sorry if y'all saw a little dog tail. The dog wandered into the kitchen even though she knows she's not supposed to be in here. Okay. Yeah, we're going to see how well I can stir this in. I'm going to tell you, this is the situation. Do as I say, not as I do. Try to avoid overfilling your pan for a few reasons. One, it's messy. Two, it doesn't cook as evenly. So really trying to get an adequately sized pan is ideal. Okay. Once I get this all stirred in, which again, hopefully y'all aren't having to do the same little dance that I am here. I'm gonna, oh, sad. It's always sad when when it's meat that gets thrown out of the pan. Anything really, but waste is just sad. We do have a small dog, and her favorite thing to do is always to come in and look for crumbs. I usually call her my dirt devil. Okay, now it's going to be real fun when I try to add this in. But we're going for it. And if I had planned appropriately, I would have left my scraper over here, but instead I put it in the sink. So here we are. You can do a semi-decent job with your whisk. Okay. Again, I definitely advise that you use a proper size pan. May not be too bad by the time this is over, maybe just about 15 minutes past the planned amount of time. So again, I apologize. Just happens sometimes. But again, at least it's a weekend. And hopefully you're enjoying this recipe. Oh, man. I tell you, this pan. Okay. Verify, but I think we finally have everything in there. We do. So now we get our iceberg lettuce, which I forgot to get out earlier. I managed to find the tiniest head of iceberg lettuce ever at the grocery store. It wasn't necessarily by choice, it was just they were all tiny. So these things, normally I'm a green leaf lettuce girl, but you need something that cups a little bit better, and they suggested iceberg, so we're gonna go with it. So we're gonna do a trick rather than doing what they recommend in the recipe. We're gonna do what my mom always does. Just make sure that you're out of like hitting distance for anything. And she always just takes it and slams it down on the stem. So that's what we're gonna do. Because I have so much going on over here, I'm gonna come over here and do it, but you just go down and it just breaks the stem out where you can pull it out. And then we'll give it a good wash. So again, it's just, and it should be pretty much where you can just pull out the main part of the stem and toss it. Everything's still pretty much intact. Kind of tears up the bottom part, but I don't like these crunchy bits anyway, so it's iceberg lettuce. It's kind of, anyway. That's what you do, the easy way for doing that. So hopefully, if nothing else, that's an easy tip for you if you do like iceberg and you need to get rid of that stem quickly. So, as I said, get a salad spinner. I forgot to get mine out earlier. But what, we can go ahead and, my goodness. Go ahead and take some of the leaves apart if you want, and just set them in the spinner. If you can coax them apart easily. This one's kind of sticking. It's not wanting to cooperate. I hope your iceberg is cooperating better than this one, because I'm going to have to stop here because it's just kind of being difficult. Okay, I'm just going to set the rest of that over there to be washed at a later time. If you're not going to use all of your lettuce, I do like to often wash all of mine in the spinner and just store it in the spinner. You have room in your fridge for your spinner. It keeps it nice and crisp. If you're not going to go ahead and use it, then you can always just set that aside and come back to it later, because when you wash it, sometimes it degrades the produce faster. So just something to think about. I'm going to use my spinner real quick. I always like to kind of push it down in there, and just kind of give it a little bit of a shake, just to kind of move it around a little bit. I also like to take my salad spinner and give it a swirl while it's in the water, unless I have too much water in there, and then this doesn't work so well. I just figure it kind of helps get the dirt removed a little more. What's the word? Just kind of getting the movement in there to kind of knock it off a little easier. And then I'll actually spin it. Whoops. Or take apart my spinner. You know, either way. Salad spinners are so handy. They do take up a lot of room, but if you eat a lot of salad, they're really a great product to have. Okay, so at this point, should have been cleaning up some of this stuff earlier. But at this point, you can get a towel out to kind of dry your lettuce on. Again, if you feel like you don't like the bottom part, you can trim that off. Anything that's left on there, you can do that. This one, I just kind of mangled this poor leaf. I'm also just going to turn that off. Give it another stir. All right. For some reason, that back part just likes to do good crunchy bits. So here we have our tasty mix. It's all good to go. It's nice and warm, so it's going to kind of wilt the lettuce, but it is what it is. You could set this aside and let it cool a little bit, but since we're already over 15 minutes late, I'm just going to go ahead and dish it on here. So again, the serving size for this recipe is about 8. So if you do 8 leaves, then you can go ahead and plan for doing about 1/8 of it. That's a pretty hefty amount. Just FYI, because this lettuce, I mean, that's a pretty, kind of hard to see maybe, but that's a pretty decent amount, and I wouldn't say that it's probably about 1/8. I'll go ahead and do one more. Surely you all heard that dog going nuts. Now they're coming in to bark, so I apologize. Maybe the barking stays out. All right, so there's the bark. So that's everything for our recipe except the sesame seeds. Sesame seeds, I set them over there. These I did not take the little cap off. But just sprinkle a few on for looks if you like sesame seeds. If not, they're totally optional. You can avoid them. That's okay too. Just like anything else, it's one nice thing when you're cooking at home, you can decide what you want, what you don't want. So sprinkle those on there like so. I like sesame seeds. So, and that's it. I'm pretty sure, unless I missed another step. Oh my goodness. All right, that should be everything. So I hope that you all enjoy your Chinese beef lettuce cups, or I can try saying the name, but it's probably not going to be very pretty. Let's see, also scrolling really slow. Beef san choy bao. Maybe not too bad. So enjoy, and I'll see you next time. I hope you all had fun. Thanks for being patient since we went a little over time. But I hope you enjoy your supper and have plenty for lunch and to share with others. So thank you. Bye.